The story begins in the northwestern region of the Clay Kingdom. Our protagonist, Norm, is busy making medicine for his sick mother. After drinking the medicine, she thanks him for always taking care of her. Norm tells her he needs to go feed the sheep now, and she makes him promise not to go outside the barrier. He assures her he won't. Norm mentions he will bring back some fruits and rabbit meat to make soup. His mother starts coughing, and worried, he says he'll boil some water for her. She stops him and wipes the dirt from her hardworking son's face. Apologetically, she says she's sorry for not being able to give him much and that he deserves to choose how he lives. The scene shifts to Norm at night, making soup with the rabbit meat and fruits he gathered. When it's done, he takes it to his mother and tries to wake her, but she doesn't respond. Devastated, he realizes she has passed away. He then makes a grave for her next to his father's grave and silently cries. After this heartbreaking event, Norm spends his days catching prey to eat, taking care of his cattle, organizing things in his house, and reading books. Each day passes in this routine, and he feels lonely when not occupied with work. One day, he finds an old book in his house. Upon reading it, he remembers it was the book his father used to read to him as a child. His father used to tell him about adventurers, sharing heroic tales that fascinated Norm. He learned that adventurers could lift curses haunting a forest, study magic to become powerful magicians, band together to take down colossal monsters, and even secure an all-curing elixir from the Spirit King. No matter the crisis, adventurers would fight to protect. The next day, Norm lays out large amounts of feed for his cattle and says his farewells to his mother and father at their graves. He tells them that he is going on his first trip to the city to become an adventurer. With a mix of excitement and hesitation, he leaves the protective barrier around his home. After spending several days traveling alone, he finally reaches the city. Upon entering the city, Norm asks the guards at the gate for directions to the Adventurers Guild. They point him in the right direction, and he makes his way through the bustling city, marveling at the unfamiliar sights. Everything excites him, as it's his first time experiencing city life. When he arrives at the Adventurers Guild, the guildmaster initially tries to shoo him away, saying it's no place for kids. Norm explains that the gatekeeper directed him there to become an adventurer. The guildmaster advises against such a dangerous path, suggesting his parents would worry about him. Norm somberly informs the guildmaster that both his parents are dead. Upon being asked for his name, he introduces himself as Norm. The guildmaster then tells Norm that if he wants to become an adventurer, he should start by attending a training school, though he warns that Norm might have trouble fitting in as the youngest candidate they've ever had. Curious, Norm asks what a training school is. The guildmaster explains that everyone who wants to join the Royal Capital's Adventurers Guild must attend a training school to choose an adventurer class and acquire useful skills like sword techniques and magic. This excites Norm, and the scene shifts to him at a swordsman training school. He dreams of becoming a hero who could slay a dragon the size of a mountain with a single strike. At the school, Norm trains diligently in swordsmanship. One by one, the other students begin to awaken their sword skills, while Norm continues to train, feeling envious of their progress. Several months later, all the other students have learned various sword skills, but Norm has not made much progress. Despite his efforts, his instructor advises him to stop training, suggesting he pursue a different path. Noah wants to continue training, but the instructor tells him it would just be a waste of time. He harshly calls Noah a talentless bum, noting that in all his time there, he has only learned to parry. The instructor suggests that Noah might be better off exploring other training schools to find his potential. Determined, Noah goes to the warrior school. He thinks being a warrior would be cool, as he could stand on the front lines and protect his allies. Despite going through grueling training, he makes no progress. After several months, his warrior instructor tells him to quit, noting that Noah has only managed to slightly enhance his physical strength. He warns Noah that continuing on this path will only lead to injury. Noah then tries the hunter training school but fails there as well. His instructor tells him he isn't cut out for handling delicate tools like bows. Next, he tries the magician training school, but after all his training, he can only cast a puny flame that struggles to light a candle. He then goes to the thieves training school. Despite training there for a while, he can't get the hang of disarming traps, picking locks, or detecting presences, and he has to quit this path as well. Finally, he tries the cleric training school, but after months of training, he only learns the spell Low Heal, which can barely treat scrapes. Disappointed, Noah returns to the guild. The guild master is surprised to learn that Noah couldn't master a single skill after months of training. The guild master tells him he doesn't have what it takes to be an adventurer. Feeling like a talentless loser, Noah leaves the city in disappointment. The scene shifts back to his house, where Noah tells his parents Graves that he has no talent for adventuring but refuses to give up. He decides to work harder than anyone else and crafts himself a wooden sword. He recalls his sword instructor's words. The one skill he has might evolve into something new if he keeps honing it. Determined, he trains his parry skill. Noah spends his days and nights perfecting this one skill. A year passes, and Noah has trained his parry skills to deflect 10 swords at once. He still hasn't developed any new skills, but feels he is making progress. 3 more years pass, and now Noah can parry 100 swords at once, yet he still hasn't developed a new skill. Despite this, Noah refuses to give up. He trains so hard that he even breaks his wooden sword and heals his scratches with his low heel skill. 10 more years pass, and now Noah can parry 1,000 swords at once. He reflects that he hasn't missed a single day of training in the last 14 years, yet he still hasn't learned a single new skill. The next day, Noah decides to head to the city once more, and the scene shifts to him at the Adventurers Guild. The guild staff checks his skills and notes that he has parry, physical enhancement, stone throw, feather step, tiny flame, and low heel. She questions if he is sure he wants to register with these seemingly unimpressive skills. She explains the training school system and its benefits, but he mentions that he has already studied under all of them. This leaves the girl unsure of what to say. Realizing he won't be able to join the guild, Noah wonders if there is any way for him to achieve his dream. At this moment, the guild master arrives and struggles to recognize the grown-up Noah. After taking a closer look, he recalls who Noah is. Noah explains what he has been doing all these years, and the guild master is astonished that all he managed to learn is a slightly improved version of parry. The guild master then explains that adventurers are ranked from S to E, from the strongest to the weakest. To register as an E-ranked adventurer, one needs at least one useful skill, which Noah lacks. Feeling defeated, Noah contemplates giving up on his dream, but the guild master reveals that there is a lesser-known rank below E. Excited, Noah learns he can join the guild as an F-ranked adventurer. The guild master explains the conditions. Noah won't be able to take hunting or gathering jobs outside the city and will only be allowed to do odd jobs within the city's borders. This rank was designed for beggars to earn some food. Surprisingly, Noah agrees to join as an F-ranked adventurer. The guild master is taken aback but registers Noah when he insists. Noah is thrilled to see his adventurer card and begins taking on odd jobs around the city. He completes them one by one using his skills, however modest, while continuing his sword training. Days pass as he helps people throughout the city. One day, while sitting by a fire, he reflects on achieving his dream of becoming an adventurer who helps others, knowing he can't wish for more given his skills. He continues working odd jobs around the city. One day, Noah helps an old woman clean her drains, and she appreciates his consistent help. He then works at a construction site. After finishing his work, he notices a light shining in a cave and hears cries for help. Rushing to the cave, he sees a minotaur about to kill a girl. The girl is protected by knights who are quickly overwhelmed by the powerful monster. The minotaur kills the knights with ease, leaving the area drenched in blood and the girl terrified. Noah distracts the minotaur using his rock throw skill, drawing the monster's attention to himself. The minotaur chases Noah and attacks, but Noah manages to parry its strikes. As the minotaur continues its assault, Noah's sword takes damage. He realizes he needs to find an opening, but also acknowledges his lack of offensive skills. Seeing the girl still in danger, he uses feather step and parry to save her, but this destroys his sword. He resolves to protect the girl, remembering his father's words about what it means to be an adventurer. The minotaur attacks again, and Noah parries, causing the monster's axe to fly out of its hand and behead the minotaur. Noah knows he would have died if the fight had continued much longer, and once again acknowledges his lack of talent. The girl thanks him for saving her life and asks for his name, but he tells her he is not worth remembering and leaves. Some knights arrive to rescue the girl, and we see Noah back in town. He reflects on how he almost got killed by a random minotaur and resolves to train even harder. The scene shifts to butchers preparing to cut up the minotaur, while the girl Norse saved thanks the soldiers who sacrificed their lives for her. A lady knight rushes into the cave, relieved to see the girl unharmed. She apologizes for not being there in her time of need, but the girl reassures her that it wasn't her fault. She explains that she was undergoing the rite of succession, and having the knight by her side would have rendered the rite meaningless, so she tells her to stop worrying. A soldier named Darchin then informs the girl, Lindbergh Cleese or Lynn for short, that they should return to the castle to inform everyone about what happened. Later, we see Lynn's brother learning about the minotaur that was summoned on the streets. He finds it odd, as minotaurs are high-level monsters found in the innermost depths of dungeons. He concludes that this was an assassination attempt, and Darchin agrees, revealing that they found a ring on a merchant's corpse at the scene. The ring appeared to be the catalyst, And when an old man named Okun, the spell sovereign, examined it, he found a mana stone of extremely high purity, which is rare in the market. Lin's brother knows that a ranked threat like a minotaur isn't something that can be summoned with money alone. Darchin informs him that, according to Okun, the traces of the spell pattern remaining on the mana stone likely originate from the magic empire of Doritus. Lin's brother suspected that Doritus was behind this, as they have been harassing them recently. He believes they crossed the line by restraining the princess and attacking her with a minotaur. Since the evidence wasn't hidden, he speculates that their goal must go beyond assassination. Lin's brother speculates that Doritus is provoking them into waging war, aiming to acquire the Dungeon of the Lost and the treasures within it. He then changes the topic, asking about the man who saved his sister. Considering that he slew a minotaur with only a broadsword and evaded the Shadow Company, he must be highly skilled. Darchin tells him that the man disappeared right in front of the Shadow Company while they were tailing him, leaving Lin's brother curious about his identity. The scene then shifts to Noor at the Adventurers Guild. The guild master is relieved to see him alive, explaining that a powerful monster appeared near the dungeon's entrance yesterday. Given that the disturbance occurred near the construction site where Noor was working, and he hadn't returned after work, the guild master feared the worst. Noor explains that a suspicious group was tailing him last night, and since he was tired, he went directly home. The guild master points out that Noor looks filthy, and Noor explains it's because he was cleaning the gutters earlier. The guild master tells Noor he was fortunate not to encounter the monster, emphasizing that even a former ranked adventurer like him wouldn't have stood a chance. Noor, surprised that such a powerful monster exists, is glad he only fought the cow, not realizing that the guild master is talking about the same creature. Curious, Noor asks what happened to the monster, and learns it was killed by a mysterious man in a single blow. This revelation makes Noor realize there are truly amazing people in the world. After the guild master pays him for his work, he advises Noor to find a proper job. Noor, confused, points out he is already working as an adventurer. The guild master explains that Noor would earn 30% more if not for the guild taking commissions, suggesting a normal job might be better for him. Lin then approaches Noor, having located him using a long-distance detection skill. Noor speculates she might be from the thief school, but Lin clarifies she specializes in the magician branch, possessing an equal number of skills in all 6 branches. Noor is impressed, but Lin downplays her abilities compared to his. Noticing they are drawing a lot of attention, Lin suggests they take the conversation outside. The guild master is surprised to see Noor talking casually with her, and secretly asks if Noor has done something wrong. Noor doesn't recall anything, and Lin uses concealment and soundproofing spells, asking him to follow her. Noor looks to the guild master for advice, who tells him to listen to her and not offend her. As they walk around town, they pass by soldiers searching for the person who defeated the Minotaur. But thanks to the concealment magic, they can't see or sense Noor. He wonders who they are looking for. They then head to a secluded place where Lin apologizes for interrupting his chat with the guild master. Noor reassures her it's fine and asks if she needs anything from him. She expresses her gratitude for saving her life, emphasizing that he not only saved her, but many citizens of the kingdom. Noor thinks she is exaggerating, believing her skills surpass his. He apologizes for interfering in her fight, but she insists he did nothing wrong, as she would be dead if not for him. He accepts her gratitude since she is so insistent. Lin wishes to repay him, but Noor is content with just her words of thanks. Lin, however, is not satisfied and insists he meets her father to accept a reward. Noor, having no intention of accepting anything beyond her gratitude, rejects all her attempts. Lin, tearful and insistent, says she won't budge until he agrees. This reminds Noor of himself as a child, when he stubbornly insisted on continuing his training despite his cleric school teacher's discouragement. Reluctantly, he agrees to see her father, but insists he won't accept any extravagant rewards. Lin asks him to follow her, casting concealment magic on both of them to avoid attracting attention, and leads him to her house. Noah is surprised to see how grand her house is. They walk right in without the guards noticing. Lin then remembers she hasn't asked Noah's name, and he introduces himself, asking for her name in return. She is embarrassed for forgetting to introduce herself earlier and makes her introduction. As they continue through the grand house, Noah realizes Lin must be a wealthy noble. This understanding clarifies why the guild master advised him not to offend her. They soon encounter the Lady Knight from earlier. Lin asks the Lady Knight where her father is, and she informs Lin that he is in the audience chamber speaking to her brother. When the knight inquires about the man behind her, Lin explains that he is the one who saved her recently. Noah, mistaking the knight for a maid, is surprised she can do laundry and housework in her outfit. The knight glares at him, making Noah realize she is very cautious. She then leads them to the audience chamber, and on the way, they encounter a warrior. He asks where they are headed at this hour and who the unknown man is. The Lady Knight admonishes him to show respect to Lin's guest, revealing he is the man who saved her. Though the warrior doubts Noah's strength, the knight insists on respect and requests the warrior join them in case extra muscle is needed. He agrees, and they continue on. Meanwhile, in the audience chamber, Lin's father and brother discuss that Derrida has broken the non-aggression pact and made their demands clear. Earlier, they had a meeting with Derrida's representatives, where their king demanded rights to the dungeon and military support. Lin's father was appalled by the one-sided negotiation and refused their terms, considering it might be time for war with Derrida. Just then, Lin and the others enter the audience chamber. Lin's brother is furious she used the cloak of the hermit, but she explains it was necessary to find her savior. Her father realizes the man with her is the one who saved her. Noah apologizes for his unpresentable appearance, but Lin's father tells him it's fine. Noah declares he might lack proper manners and could unintentionally be rude, but the old man reassures him. He shakes Noah's hand, thanking him for saving his daughter. Noah thinks he can leave now, but the old man insists on rewarding him. He offers Noah anything he desires, be it land or wealth, but Noah declines. The old man then offers half of the dungeon treasures, but Noah has no interest in this either. Despite the old man's insistence, Noah refuses grand rewards. Eventually, the old man offers his old sword, explaining that he no longer needs it since retiring from the front lines. He plans to replace it with a replica, and Noah, finding the sword heavier than expected, wonders if it is important. The old man downplays its significance, calling it a second-hand item from his travels. Noah accepts it, and the old man asks him to try it out. Using physical enhancement, Noah swings the sword with all his might, creating a gust of wind in the room. He finds it heavy but manageable. Amused, the old man requests Noah to give Lin some training. Lin is excited, but Noah insists he lacks the qualifications to teach her. He believes Lin should decide her own path without her father meddling too much. The old man agrees, and Noah takes his leave. On his way out, Noah thinks the sword's weight will make it perfect for training. He also notices the sword's width matches the city drains, thinking it will make cleaning them more efficient. He plans to try it out tomorrow. Just then, the Lady Knight, in E's harness, approaches him to talk. She apologizes for treating him suspiciously earlier, explaining her duty is to shield the House of Cleese from harm, which takes precedence over entertaining guests. Noah realizes she is not a maid, but the vice captain of the warrior corps, known as the Divine Shield since childhood. She thanks him for saving Lin, stating she will strive to be someone he can rely on. Noah is unsure why she is making such a big deal out of it, but she assures him he can ask for her help if needed. Noah accepts her gratitude, and she warns him to behave more formally in the audience chamber in the future to avoid severe punishment, especially in front of other vassals. Noah understands, and she asks his name. He introduces himself, surprising her, but she says nothing and leaves. Before Noah can leave, the warrior from earlier, named Gilbert, confronts him and challenges him to a duel to test his strength. The scene then shifts to Gilbert leading Noor somewhere, and Noor wonders what Gilbert wants from him. Feeling tired and wanting to return home, Noor asks Gilbert about his intentions. They arrive at the training room, and Gilbert requests a sparring match with Noor. Reflecting that he hasn't sparred since his training school days, Noor is intrigued when Gilbert, who is quite famous in the capital, asks him to choose his weapon. Noor sees this as a rare opportunity to face a seasoned veteran and selects a sword for the match. As they enter the sparring stage, Noor feels unsure about being a good opponent, but resolves to give his best effort. The other soldiers in the training grounds are surprised to see someone sparring with their captain and wonder if Noor has a death wish. Gilbert attacks Noor, but he manages to dodge. As Gilbert continues his attacks, Noor keeps dodging and notices the refinement in Gilbert's moves, suggesting intense training. However, he wonders why Gilbert seems slow and realizes that Gilbert must be holding back since Noor is much weaker. Noor asks Gilbert to stop for a moment. Gilbert halts, and Noor tells him he knows Gilbert is being considerate, but asks him not to hold back so much. Gilbert, realizing he might have subconsciously held back because Noor is human, apologizes and attacks at full speed. Noor still manages to dodge and notices Gilbert's increased speed, but also observes that Gilbert leaves his back defenseless after every attack. Noor continues to dodge and suspects that Gilbert might be giving him an opening on purpose to trap him. While Gilbert is frustrated that his attacks aren't connecting, Gilbert then uses a move to change the direction of his spear mid-attack. But Noor dodges this as well, which provides Gilbert with an opening for another attack. Surprisingly, Noor dodges again and tells Gilbert he can go even faster if he wants. This angers Gilbert, as he is already going as fast as he can, which Noor realizes. Reflecting on his own training, Noor feels he might have finally become stronger and could possibly win. However, in his anger, Gilbert uses his finishing move, Drag Reef, which almost hits Noor, but is dodged at the last second. Gilbert, unable to see how Noor dodged, is freaked out, and Noor suddenly concedes the match. The scene then cuts to Noor returning home, thinking about his close call. Meanwhile, at the training grounds, the other soldiers are stunned. They speculate that the captain couldn't have missed, believing Noor might have been knocked back by the sheer wind pressure from the attack. They think Noor would have lost his head if the captain had used a real spear, given Gilbert's reputation as a once-in-a-century genius. Gilbert knows the truth and reflects on his past, when he was called a genius from the moment he picked up a spear. He traveled to a village seeking strong opponents, but was disappointed by the weak villagers, as no one could stand against him. He believed he would become even stronger with continued training, but had no worthy sparring partners. One day, the village chief asked if he was enjoying his stay, but Gilbert irritably replied that it was boring. The chief, aware of Gilbert's quest for strong foes, suggested that he return to the capital, as strong soldiers were gathering there due to the crumbling power balance between the kingdom and other countries. Gilbert took the advice and returned to the capital, joining the army and defeating every strong recruit without challenge. Shifting his focus to monsters, he found no one who could satisfy him. Bored and frustrated, he was resting and looking at the clouds when his master approached. Noticing Gilbert's dissatisfaction despite being awarded the title of Divine Spear, a title comparable to the master's Divine Sword, his master suggested fighting Anise, but Gilbert knew he could defeat her as her strength was different from his. Wishing for more fighters like his master, Gilbert found the thought intriguing. He asked if his master ever got bored teaching amateur soldiers and adventurers. His master explained that these people would protect their kingdom and might one day surpass him. Gilbert hoped this would happen in his generation. Back in the present, Gilbert wondered what kind of person could kill a minotaur single-handedly, as Nor had done. He couldn't figure Nor out, noting his lack of interest in lavish rewards and his confidence when speaking to the king. Despite not sensing any strength from Nor, he was able to dodge all of Gilbert's attacks. Gilbert was puzzled why his spear couldn't reach Nor, even when he gave it his all, and was ashamed that even his ultimate attack, faster than the speed of sound, failed. Unable to fathom how Nor dodged that attack, Gilbert experienced his first defeat in single combat. He wondered if Nor had yielded to save him from embarrassment in front of his soldiers, feeling humiliated. After defeating him, Nor simply said he looked forward to seeing Gilbert again and left. Gilbert then noticed some cracks on the floor of the stage, bewildered by how they appeared. He thought things were finally getting interesting. Meanwhile, Nor, on his way back home, reflected on the match, acknowledging he still had much to learn and shouldn't get cocky like before. He realized he had used physical enhancement combined with feather step to dodge Gilbert's special attack. The confident Les Bum thought that Gilbert must have slowed down his attack to allow him to dodge, having forgotten his own name. He recognized he should be grateful to Gilbert for showing him his weaknesses, and resolved to train even harder. The next morning, we see Nor using the legendary sword to clean drains. Impressed by how the sword made the job easier, he thought it was great, noting that it didn't chip no matter how harshly he used it. He humorously considered the possibility of becoming a legendary drain cleaner. Others gathered around, astonished by his talent, mentioned they would commission him to clean their drains next time. The scene then cuts to Nor in the forest. Though glad he could clean drains better, he was saddened that his construction job was suspended due to a recent incident. He worried about being unnecessary if the guild ran out of work, and pondered how he could help people with his sword when that happened. He considered using the sword for grilling food, rowing a boat, and other purposes, but never mentioned the traditional use of swords. Trying to light a fire for cooking with his tiny flame, he realized it wouldn't be enough. Bummed out that despite completing training in all schools, he only learned basic skills, Nor encountered Lin. Remembering that Anise told him not to be overly familiar with their family, he called her by her full name, but she insisted he call her just Lin. She explained she found him by asking the guildmaster, whom Nor thought wouldn't know his exact location, realizing she must have used her tracking skills. Lin asked Nor to take her in as a page, a term unfamiliar to him. She explained that a page is similar to an apprentice, attending to daily needs while receiving instruction and wisdom. She requested permission to stay by his side, but he outright refused. Worried she had offended him, Lin insisted she could be helpful if given the chance. Nor explained he had nothing to teach her and didn't need someone to take care of him. Lin offered compensation, but Nor remained firm in his refusal. Lin began to cry, swearing she would be helpful, and demonstrated her skills: Hell Flare, Icicle Dance, a knockoff lightsaber, and Mist Blade. Nor stopped her from showing more skills. Lin thought this meant he would accept her as an apprentice, but he denied it, knowing she was more talented than him and felt like a commoner in comparison. Convincing her further, Nor said he was even more certain he couldn't teach her anything. Lin, thinking he doubted her abilities, revealed that her talents were acknowledged by the 6 sovereigns, teachers of the 6 training schools. Aware she was no match for him, Lin asked how to stop pestering him. Nor decided to show her one of his low-level abilities to prove his point, using Tiny Flame. Surprised, Lin returned home, recalling how, during her training, instructors mentioned a legendary boy who conquered all 6 schools at the age of 12, although it sounded unbelievable given the harsh training. This changed when she met Nor, remembering Okun, the magic instructor, showing her his tiny flame and explaining it could grow with practice. Realizing that making the flame bigger required time and dedication, Lin was speechless seeing Nor's giant tiny flame. Nor explained that his other skills were the same, leading her to believe he was unparalleled in all 6 branches. She felt ashamed by her poor display of skills in front of such a skilled individual, recalling how he never boasted even after defeating a minotaur with a single broadsword. She admired his strength in both body and mind, knowing nothing could daunt him anymore. Determined not to give up on becoming his apprentice, Lin decided to learn from Nor's strength, knowing she and her brother would eventually leave the kingdom. That night, Nor left a restaurant and encountered Lin outside. She admitted her immaturity and declared she would keep following him until deemed worthy of being his page. Calling him instructor, she believed the answer their house had searched for generations lay with him, while Nor wondered how things had turned out like this. This brings an end to episodes 1 to 3. Like, share, and subscribe to get more anime recap updates.